We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We going all in, like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves.
What is up, everybody? I am Mr. Man. Welcome back to my channel. I figured I'd come a little dapper this evening for you guys because we got a nice one. We're going to be talking about this today, well, that, which is the digital Tenge, which is Kazakhstan's CBDC. So I believe this is the CBDC here, the digital Tenge, and in that sense, it wraps around the stable coin for its value, or a synthetic coin, if you will. That's my perception of it. I could completely be wrong, but I'm just trying to make sense of what these guys are putting out here, and I do the best to interpret it in my mind, best off of what I read and how I interpret what they're doing. I'm not sitting in the conferences with them, but that's what we're talking about. Digital Tenge. So, to start off, China, Japan reaffirm strategic relationships in rare leaders dealship. In rare leader talks. I can't even speak. And that was as of November 17th. So we know Japan and China are in there. Chinese President Xi Jinping and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said they would pursue mutually beneficial relationships in their first face-to-face talks in a year, putting emphasis on shared economic interest amid a series of diplomatic disputes. So I'm going to take you guys through a real rabbit hole on this one here, okay? I'm going to work up to how this digital currency came into effect and what will be the catalyst to bring it out, because all these central banks say, we don't see a reason to roll it out, there's no reason to roll it out. I found their reason. So, the leaders of Asia's two largest economies discuss thorny issues such as a Chinese ban on Japanese seafood and the case of Japanese businessmen detained in China on suspicion of espionage during an hour-long talk at a hotel in San Francisco on Thursday. Well, that's interesting. Japan and China are chatting in San Francisco. They also pledged to hold a high-level dialogue on economic issues and welcome the launch of a framework to discuss export control as they met on the sideline of an Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. Very interesting. By the way, I gotta let you guys know this is gonna be a longer than usual one. So if you don't have the attention span, skipping through it and jumping to the end won't show you anything. I'm not a price prediction kind of person here. Somebody had written the other day and was like, "Oh, Mr. Man was wrong. He said XRP is going to $10,000 by November 19th. I don't ever say crap like that. I'm not here to give out price predictions. What the price is, I will never know until it gets there, or until I sell, or whatever the case may be. I'm not giving out date prediction either, man. I put out a video called Timelines and Dates. And my message was, don't follow dates. Just use them as segues to, okay, this is here. What happens next? It's a living book. We're living through economic change right now. It's never going to end. So use the date to the next segue, okay? So, Kazakhstan to China now. Kazakhstan relations refer to the relations between historical China and the Kazakhs up to the modern relations between the PRC and the Kazakhstan, ever since the establishments of diplomatic relations in 1992. So they've been together for quite some time. Political, really? That's what you're going to do? Political, cultural, and economic ties, there we go, have developed between the two. The Chinese Communist Party and Kazakhstan's Amanat have good ties. China has said that it values exchanges between the two parties and it hopes to strengthen ties and cooperation even further. Wunderbar. Okay? So now we have Japan and Kazakhstan. So we saw China and Kazakhstan, then we saw Kazakhstan and China, and now we're seeing Japan and Kazakhstan. So the three of them are like this. Do you see something here? It's the rock. Japan, Kazakhstan signed cooperation. This is just not long ago either. Today is November 21st. Cooperation deal for carbon trading under Article 2.6.2. The government of Japan and Kazakhstan have signed a memorandum of cooperation for emissions reduction, project development, and carbon credit trading under the Paris Agreement's Article 6.2. The Minister of Environment of Japan said in a statement late October. As one of the pilot countries exploring intergovernmental cross-border emissions trading, cross-border, Japan established a joint crediting mechanism in 2013. The JCM, Joint Credit Mechanism, aligned with Article 6.2, enables Japan to invest in emissions reduction projects overseas and use part of the emission reduction to meet its climate targets committed under the Paris Agreement, called nationally determined contributions. Okay, we're working our way through. So what's happening now? Okay, that was as of October. What's happening now in Kazakhstan? This is the Corona Rona, and you can see the uptick leading into 2021, end of 2021 leading into 2022, shoots up again, and now here we are plateauing. So the bear flu is becoming a thing of the past. So that doesn't seem to be working anymore. When all else fails, where do we end up? This is where we end up. Okay, this is a year ago in Kazakhstan, okay? Listen to this.
After just a week in Kazakhstan and barely a shot fired in anger, the Russian-led military force of around 2,000 troops is on its way home. Its role, protecting power stations and other infrastructure, seemed as symbolic as the parade ceremony marking its departure.
The peacekeeping mission of assisting the brotherly people of Kazakhstan has been successfully completed.
Observers believe the CSTO's mission was actually to show that President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev had Russian backing.
This deployment was very much at the request of the Kazakhstani government, the President Tokayev, and clearly he needed this force to stabilize his own internal situation. Once that was stabilized, once he understood that his own domestic forces would remain loyal, then the CSTO deployment was no longer needed.
So they're pulling out of the war now. The deployment, they're leaving the war now. All right. So what's going on next? After war, what happens? There's a bunch of carnage that happened during the war. There's a bunch of displaced people from fleeing from the war, asylum seeking in other places. So what happened during that whole war with Ukraine and Russia? Stellar dropped up or created Stellar Aid. And this is bulk humanitarian aid disbursements. And if you recall, this was dropped for Russia and Ukraine. They had used this setup, and here it is. In the Ukraine war, Stellar Aid Assisting is using crypto to give mass aid. The payment app that leverages stablecoin, which is USDC, on the XLM. Stellar Rails, okay? Stellar is the underlying technology as the liquidity management, Rails. Transfer was designed to be user-friendly for trauma and disaster victims. That's why Stellar Aid Assist is one of CoinDesk projects to watch for 2023. And we've been watching it since 2022. And we went back to 2020 when they were first talking about it, then 2021 for the pilot, and then 2022 when they implemented it. And now 2023, they like the project, okay? So they like this project a lot. They want to scale up on this project. How do I know? I will let them talk for you. This is Stellar Aid, and this is UN, a representative from the UN here, who's talking about Stellar Aid and how they want to scale up. All I heard did the talking.
System and aren't aware of the background with UNHCR and Stellar Aid Assist. This is basically a way for humanitarian organizations to pay out to individuals in need. Much of that has shifted over the last 20 years to sending some form of cash that could be digital or physical, instead of physical goods like blankets and food. And that's been proven more effective over time, but the payments part of that can still be tricky for vulnerable people around the world. And so what this allows people to do is receive money who are on the move. They might be going to another country. They can access MoneyGram's global cash out network with the Vibrant Assist app. And you're hearing Carmen talk about what in the tech world we would probably call product market fit, with things like people on the move and victims of gender-based violence that need discrete ways of receiving funds. So it's been really fascinating to see over the last year how, as the product has piloted and then started to scale, we find more and more of those use cases where this is an appropriate fit. We never want to force it on anyone, of course, but where it can be beneficial, it can be very, very helpful in that environment. I hope that's fair to say. So how did you, as UNHCR, become interested in blockchain and digital assets at the start, and what benefits have you seen from it so far?
Yeah. So the key is that the outbreak of the war in Ukraine gave us some reflection points. So currently, as you might know, there are 110 million people on the move. And UNHCR, obviously, that cannot take care of all the 110 million, but we have a lot of people on the move that require the aid. And for that, we need, obviously, systems, processes, and procedures that really can execute as and when the payments to the beneficiaries. And for that, you need technology and standardization, simplification, to make sure that we actually can deliver in that speed that is required at low cost. Obviously, we want to have maximum of donor funds going to the beneficiaries, and then actually the reporting. So this was quite a major reflection point, how to use technology. And we always have used technology, so it's not something new, but in this case here, how to use blockchain, and then the digital asset, the USDC, basically to have a stable coin, a store value or a safe value as well, to protect. So the idea is always to protect our beneficiaries from currency movements, and of course to be able to safeguard that money for what they need most. So I think in some ways, looking back, it was quite an easy decision in some ways. But I think it's like Franklin Templeton were saying, it's like to convince actually more internally why you would use such a technology and what are the benefits. So I think to anyone on the cash teams of the UN organizations, we can agree today that this is the most speediest, the most cost-efficient, effective way to reach our beneficiary. There's no doubt about that. And you also have to keep in mind that we deliver aid assistance to about 10 million people per year. So these are not small amounts that we deliver. So last year we delivered close to 1 billion, just to give you an idea as well in monetary terms. And it translated to about 3 million transactions. So we are running quite a bit of a business here with so many transactions, and so many people actually depend on that lifeline, and for us to actually manage that in an efficient way.
That's wonderful.
Financial inclusion, it's the economic inclusion, really provides new structures, stronger institutions as well. And I think one side which is very exciting is actually that people can go about their own lives, create their own businesses, and move forward. So we haven't talked about the ID, the transportable ID. Once they get funds from UNHCR, they establish a track record and then can use that going forward. So there are a few elements that we need to put together. On the SDG side, the SDGs are not necessarily on track at this point, but they need acceleration. And we do believe that technology can make a huge difference in that, to make sure that we can reach these people that are in need. But what is really the key here is that we provide them opportunity for a life going forward, and to be able to take care of themselves. So that's the ultimate goal.
Absolutely.
So that's very important to us. And the opportunity really presents itself here to have the rails with the blockchain technology that gives us the opportunity, the outbound rails, to actually connect them with the inbound rails. So if any of you here in the audience today would like to give $100 or more, that means we can really assure you that the $100 really go to the beneficiary. So I think that is really, if you like, the end purpose of this initiative. So we have the outbound rails, the payment with the technology stack on blockchain. So it's all good, more to come. So we are looking now currently as well to scale up in other jurisdictions, like in Latin America. And our target is to have at least the throughput of $1 million through this solution in 23. So this is our target right now. But our focus is not so much on the numbers.
We know what the target is, not so much on the numbers. But Kazakhstan to deliver humanitarian aid to quake-hit Afghanistan. Okay? Astanza, remember that name there, the Astanza time. Astana time. Kazakhstan will provide humanitarian assistance to earthquake-hit Afghanis following the instructions of President Kasim Jomart Tokayev, the Prime Minister's press service reported on October the 9th. Kazakhstan will deliver food, tents, medicine, clothing, and other essential items by air and rail in the near future. The Minister of Emergency Situations will also send specialists, including dog handlers, to assist in the rescuing people from the rubble. According to Reuters, the devastating earthquake that hit western Afghan, 35 kilometers northwest of the city of Herat on October 7th, killed more than 2,000 people. Alright? This is unfortunate, but we're building the case here, okay? Kazakhstan is breaking out of Russia's grip. The Ukraine war has given Astana, there it is again, a unique chance to frustrate Moscow. Russia's invasion of Ukraine may not have changed the global world order, but it has certainly changed the geopolitics of Asia. Before the war, if Belarus was Russia's closest ally to the west and China to the east, Kazakhstan was unquestionably its greatest ally to the south. Unlike Belarus or China, however, Kazakhstan is not looking for any extra opportunities in its relations with Russia. Instead, trying to quietly dismantle an alliance it never really wanted without provoking Moscow's wrath. I'm just painting what these guys are saying here. I neither agree nor disagree. I'm just going to show you the game that they're talking about, okay? So bear with me on this. We're getting there. So here, Russia's war loss as Kazakhstan's brain gain. Ukraine war has spurred massive migration from Russia to Kazakhstan, sparking an economic boom and ignition in nationalistic backlash. For over a decade, Kazakhstan has been experiencing a brain drain of skilled and educated workers in many key industries. This may be starting to change. Interesting. Kazakhstan's economic growth, propelled by oil and gas, has slowed in part due to fluctuations in global commodity prices. The government has attempted to diversify the economy to promote sustainable growth, but inadequate tertiary education has left a massive skills deficit, while many skilled workers have sought greener pastures abroad. Kazakh officials have attempted to stem the brain drain with policies like the Bolashak program, which provided scholarships to Kazakhs to acquire skills at foreign universities, so to have them travel at this point now. The program had been successful but failed to fill gaps in key sectors like information technology. Some scholars also chose not to return to Kazakhstan for personal or professional reasons. Unexpectedly, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has resulted in a massive individual and corporate migration from Russia to Kazakhstan. This is creating a new opportunity for sustained brain gain and economic upgrade, but Kazakh policymakers risk missing the opportunity due to an overcautious balancing and conflicting policy goals. Is that true? That's got to be true. That has to be true. I can't see why that wouldn't be true. Kazakhstan's piloting a CBDC on R3 Corda platform. The country's central bank is expanding the pilot of a digital Tenge and will decide if it wants to launch a token by the end of 2022. The National Bank of Kazakhstan, NBK, is using R3 Corda's platform for the ongoing pilot of a CBDC, the digital Tenge, the bank said in a report published Wednesday. NBK highlighted Corda's capacity to maintain anonymity, confidentiality, and traceability of transactions, and open source code. Sweden, Japan, there's again, Canada, Switzerland, South Africa, France, and the European Union have also started successful CBDC projects based on Corda, the report said. Kazakhstan's central bank marks a CBDC digital Tenge pilot with first retail payment. The National Bank of Kazakhstan plans to implement the digital Tenge by the end of 2025. The bank said on Wednesday kicked off a CBDC pilot with one official marking the occasion by making the first retail payment using the digital Tenge. The central bank conducted the first issue of the digital Tenge on a platform launched in a pilot mode. But the real users in the form of second-tier banks and their clients, according to an official announcement. The CBDC platform is powered by technology that underlies crypto, testing automated and blockchain-based smart contracts for settlement. Participating banks have issued digital vouchers and cards to facilitate transfers. I mean, that could be a laundry card, that could be a food card, that could be coupons, that could be so many different things. Okay, implementation of the digital Tenge of stage 1 in 2023. To this date, the digital Tenge project has focused on developing a retail central bank digital currency. However, there were numerous news and events in the past several months, which we were looking at, followed by the NBK's consultations with stakeholders and the market participants related to broader use and adoption of the Kazakhstani digital currency. So now they built the case based off of the war. They built the case based off of the earthquake there. They have displaced individuals. They have their people who left to go study abroad and live abroad. Then they have new people coming now who don't necessarily have Kazakhstani cash to use, and there might be asylum seekers. So then we can flood the market with cash, with CBDC, with digital tappity tap tap tap. Okay, that's where we're going. So let's look at some synchronized payments on the ECB's website. So I purposely chose to come to this site here. This is the ECB, and it includes the Bank of Japan. I chose the ECB because Kazakhstan is European, it's Asia, I guess, yeah. And I got the Bank of Japan over here. So what I want to show you, as we scroll down, there's 2019. Yep, it's an old document. Again, the past proves the future. You don't always need the newest stuff right now. Is it this? This is their model. So against this background, Stella Phase 3 explores cross-border payments could potentially be improved, especially in terms of safety by using new technologies. So I want you to realize that these new partnerships with companies that are popping up aren't being used for cross-border settlements and remittances. They're not at all yet. They're not. Everything's still pumped through SWIFT. America's still the superpower. Don't let the narrative of the BRICS fool you, okay? That is happening. They are rising up. It's a slow rise. The reserve has to, crumble, essentially. They're going to be the bank that's not folding, but they're going to cause a disgusting run, I think. A huge, disgusting run. But SWIFT is the one holding, that still does all the cross-border payments, right? And any and everything goes through SWIFT. Any and everything goes through SWIFT still. And SWIFT is not using digital payments as of yet, that I'm aware of. Okay? Not even with GPI. Especially in terms of safety by using new... Okay, concretely, it analyzes global interoperability on the basis of a protocol for interledger payments being used. Interledger is a Ripple product. Between a centralized ledger, For example, a ledger operated by commercial banks, or a real-time gross settlement system operated by the central banks, and a DLT ledger. Between DLT ledgers and also between centralized ledgers, it thereby focuses on back-end arrangements for cross-border fund transfer. Selected private sector initiatives, selected, okay? Community group of the WWW's consortium, the W3C, is developing further interledger protocol, a set of rules that allow payments to be sent across different types of ledger. ILP is built on an initial proposal laid out in the white paper, Protocol for Interledger Payments, which is Thomas and David Schwartz. Chapter 3 provides a more detailed description of the underlying concepts of ILP. Ripple has developed Xcurrent, which connects financial institutions via a global network of participating entities, RippleNet. Xcurrent is built around ILP and enables bidirectional communication between participating entities and coordination of payments across ledgers. Swift enables, because they're still using Swift. Everyone's using Swift right now still. They cannot not use Swift. Swift is, the US is the one who make the global calls along with Europe. But the US makes the global calls in terms of policy updates. When US moves, the rest of the world moves. Picture Bitcoin. When Bitcoin moves, the rest of the altcoins move. When US moves, the rest of the world moves. Okay? That's how it is. Bitcoin is US. So here we are again. This is the Astana time. Now they're talking about the digital Tenge, and they're going to be discussing the transforming of payments now. All right?
Kazakhstan is preparing to introduce the digital tenge in 2025, while the country's economy is already experiencing a surge in cashless payments. Experts emphasize that the digital tenge is not just a trend but a necessity for the current time. The digital tenge will be launched in 3 stages, with the initial phase starting in 2023 because it is designed to complement existing payment methods, not replace them. It will be a digital form of the Kazakh currency regulated by the National Bank of Kazakhstan. The digital tenge is expected to make cashless payments more accessible, increase the efficiency of spending public funds, and make cross-border transactions faster and cheaper. At the moment, the team of the National Payment Corporation is working on interoperability, allowing people to spend digital tenge from their cards using POS terminals, QR codes, or near-field communication. Experts also assure that user confidentiality is a top priority with essential security measures in place. The success of the digital tenge depends on the number of people and organizations utilizing it. National Payment Corporation CEO Binur Zhalenov emphasized the importance of synergy between the central regulator and second-tier banks to create valuable products for end users. Kazakhstan is not alone in exploring digital currencies, with 130 nations representing 98% of the world's GDP engaged in their development. Just to highlight, the country has experienced a surge in digital technologies driven by the pandemic. The volume of non-cash transactions in the country reached a record $131 billion in the first half of 2023, up by nearly 41% compared to the same period last year.
So there was an uptick in digital use due to the COVID virus, the coronavirus. Coronavirus. This one here, this is a gentleman talking, and he is from, talking about the Kazakhstani digital tenge here. And everything he says in terms of them opening up a swap line here, it's like I don't know if I want to pay the full 10 minutes, but you gotta hear it. You just gotta hear it. You'll be thankful you did. Again, this is a long journey, but the more you know, the more you grow, the more you understand, the more you'll be able to maneuver within this new world. Because when we get there, and you guys are looking for liquidity to pull off of exchanges, and those exchanges lock up because there's no more liquidity, you're going to want to know how to move and how to come in and out of stable coins and where to utilize certain exchanges or liquidity providers. You're going to want to know the game, so you're going to want to know how these things operate. All right? Let's do this.
technological innovation and digital transformation, as well as the magnitude of their impact on the economy, the Central Bank of Hungary and its subsidiaries, the Gyro ZRT and the Budapest Institute of Banking and the Budapest Stock Exchange, decided to increase their presence in the international fintech ecosystem and accelerate economic thinking on a digital and sustainable future. Our first speaker today is Mr. Lajos Barta, Executive Director for Financial Infrastructures and Banking Operations at the Central Bank of Hungary. He was one of the speakers of yesterday's panel discussion on payment infrastructures. Please welcome Mr. Barta and his insights on the instant payment system as a new form in Hungary.
Thank you, Peter. Giving me 10 minutes like we have given to the Hungarian banking sector a few years ago to make payments in maximum 5 seconds. But I tried, since the Hungarian banking sector was successful, I do hope I will be successful as well. So let's look at the first picture. What are the basic operational rules of the Hungarian model? You see here blocks in blue and red. What are in blue? These are quite common parameters for instant payments around the world, like main rules in rule books or instant clearing and settlement on individual transaction basis, or message standards are based on, in Europe at least, on the SEPA instant credit scheme. But we have some specialties in Hungary, like for the time being, I haven't heard yet that in any other countries it is mandatory. Mandatory means that all Hungarian payment service providers, which were at the time of the project 35 different market players, had to be ready by the same time with the project, and they had to go live on the same day. And all kind of individual credit transfers below 10 million forint must go to the instant payment scheme. So this is the rule which we have included in a central bank decree and which we have just given to the banking sector. The other Hungarian unique idea is in the liquidity management of the system. In the liquidity management, normally the instant schemes are based on the pre-funding, so participants have to pre-fund their liquidity needs, and if they miscalculate the liquidity for a weekend or for a longer period, then they can run out of the liquidity and then they can stop. In Hungary, based on the request of the Hungarian banking sector, we have created a credit line, which is an automated credit line, and which works during the outside of the normal operating hours, so at the weekends and during the night. So if a Hungarian participant in the instant payment scheme miscalculates the liquidity need, then automatically it can be granted a credit line by the Hungarian Central Bank, and then the normal smooth operation is granted. The third parameter, which is specially characteristics for the Hungarian system, is the maximum 5 seconds of the execution time. In other countries, we've seen 10 seconds, 15 seconds, or even there is no limitation in the time. In Hungary, we have decided at the very beginning that the instant payment should be used also in the physical payment area. So therefore, we have given the sector that the maximum execution time might be not more than 5 seconds. And the fourth interesting Hungarian idea in the parameters is that in Hungary, the standards are open and interoperability must be ensured by the participants. So if somebody, a market player, would like to introduce a QR code in the Hungarian ecosystem, then this QR code must be open for any other players. So we will not see any fragmentation in the service of the payment service provider.
That's right, because that's all part of Ripple's rulebook. You think I don't know these things? Come on. So why did I want to show you Hungary's CBDC and them talking about that? Because we were talking about Kazakhstan. Why does that matter? Kazakhstan and Hungary to join forces to increase mutual trade. Boom. All right? See those connections here? This was today. Kazakhstan and Hungary will join forces to increase mutual trade, Trend reports. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kazakhstan, Murat Nurtliu, and the Minister of Finance of Hungary, Mihály Varga, agreed on this during the 6th meeting of the Kazakh-Hungarian Strategic Council. The parties talked about current bilateral concerns. These bilateral agreements are the lifeblood of cross-border payments. All right, you need to have that bilateral agreement. These guys here in this jurisdiction, in county, country, province, whatever, state, and on this side here, have an agreement that says they can do whatever it is they're going to do. Trade. The parties talked about current bilateral concerns in the political, trade, economic, investment, cultural, and humanitarian aids. The ministers agreed that trade and economic cooperation between Kazakhstan and Hungary is the primary driver of the two countries' strategic alliance. So, aid. That's very interesting. Very interesting. So, Tenge, the road to global markets now. Because we were talking about interconnectivity within sort of close Kazakhstan and Hungary. You know, they're right there. It's cross-border, yeah, but it's not cross-border, the world. Right? We have like, you know, yeah, we have them. So listen to this, okay?
Financial Congress marking the 30th anniversary of the country's national currency, the tenge, was held in Almaty. The event gathers leaders from central banks and financial institutions of both CIS and foreign countries. Binur Jalenov, chairman of the National Payments Corporation of Kazakhstan, launched the platform of digital tenge in a pilot mode. Now the digital tenge is available for payment across all existing infrastructures. For example, when a school student swipes the card at the terminal, a developed smart contract is triggered, automatically directing the payment to the local authority's budget. No need for accountants, intermediaries, or processing centers. This trigger acts as a signal. In terms of technology, the project employs a blockchain system which makes the digital national currency smarter. Now individuals themselves have the capability to program each digital tenge for a specific task. Let's imagine you're a parent sharing 10,000 tenge with your child, and you want to ensure they don't spend it on cigarettes or alcoholic beverages. Digital tenge facilitates that control. Similarly, consider a government agency aiming to target its state aid and ensure transparency. Digital tenge is of great help here as well.
Awesome. The road to globalization. We're getting there, to the global markets. So, here we are. Central liquidity management. Okay. Centralized tools allow participants to steer, manage, and monitor liquidity in the central bank money across all target services. The tool functions via a main cash account that participants can open with a national central bank. And we heard the individual from the Central Bank of Hungary talking about he opened up a swap line to another bank. Okay, this is what we're talking about, central liquidity management. This account is linked to the participant's dedicated cash account for the real-time gross settlement RTGS systems, or T2, T2S, and TIPS. The main cash account also features a dashboard for a centralized overview of liquidity positions and advanced liquidity management tools, meaning a higher level of automation. As an important feature is that any liquidity held on dedicated cash accounts is considered for minimum reserve purposes without the need to transfer the balance back to the cash reserve. Kazakhstan now on the 17th launched its first CBDC card in Eurasia, Europe and Asia. That's why I was sticking to Europe. And that's why I brought in Japan and China at the very beginning, to show you the connections of Kazakhstan to these places. And now there's a new Eurasia card. You see the connections? I know you see what I'm talking about. Kazakhstan is the leader on digital payments in Central Asia region. The first CBDC card issued by Eurasian Bank and powered MasterCard was presented on the 30th anniversary of the tenge, Kazakhstan's national currency. The digital tenge card instantly converts funds to traditional tenge currency, the fiat, and is available to make purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted in Kazakhstan and around the world. The first digital tenge transaction was made at the Xi Congress of Financiers of Kazakhstan, or is that 11 Congress? Okay. On November 15th, 2023, at a POS terminal, point of sale terminal, that supports direct transactions between accounts in the national digital currency. The digital Tenge card is the first CBDC card in Eurasian region, and looking ahead opens up new opportunities for providing innovative financial services based on a digital Tenge. So testing and introduction of a new form of national currency in Kazakhstan is led by JSC, National Payments Corporation of Kazakhstan. The 3-stage introduction of the digital Tenge currency is expected to be completed by the end of 2025. I told you it's always around November. If not always in November, these things happen. MasterCard. November is going to be an interesting time, 2025. I'm going to throw out now and say that we're going to expect something by November 2025, leading into December and January 2026. Expect a black swan of sorts. I'm calling this years in advance. It's 2 years because we're in November 2023. Just going down the line. So here's now how MasterCard's card can work. I just want to give you guys a real life working tangible feeling of everything and how it's all moving.
For today's consumers, seamless digital experiences are the norm. And they expect no less from their banks. That's why MasterCard is on a mission to transform every payment experience into an end-to-end digital journey, and one that was designed digital first. For issuers, delivering an end-to-end digital experience can be a significant challenge without the right solution and the right partners. With Digital First, MasterCard and its partners offer the innovative technology and flexible implementation you need wherever you are in your own digital journey. For consumers like Myra, starting her Digital First journey means applying and getting approved for her new account all on her phone. Her new Digital First card was instantly issued, meaning Myra is ready to spend. But Digital First is more than just an instantly issued digital card. It means the entire financial lifecycle occurs on digital channels. Myra's Digital First experience includes in-demand features like spend alerts and controls, and the ability to use Click to Pay for faster online checkouts. It even offers the option to pay in installments for purchases. Designed to delight, the Digital First experience is a validated and tested consumer journey that will keep Myra's new card top of wallet. And with MasterCard's partnership, one that is within reach of any issuer. Where are you in your digital journey?
I know where Myra was. She was stuck looking down at her phone. That's where we all going to be, stuck looking down at our phone, because our phone's going to be doing everything in our lives. So when going through to find out what settlement or clearance and settlement mechanism Kazakhstan uses, it says here Astanza International Exchange and Euroclear Bank agreed on cooperation. So they will be using Euroclear as well. So we're going through here. Tri-party collateral management adaptation plan. We're just going to go through here. Right here. Euroclear is reassessing its plans to start work on compliance with ISO 2022 messaging standard after Euroclear Bank has joined T2S. While detailed planning is still ongoing and detailed implementation milestones are correspondingly not yet available, Eurobank expects to be able to comply with ISO messaging standards by Q1 2024. Euroclear Bank would like to highlight that the timeline for finalizing, approving, and testing the messages is tight. Successful implementation by Euroclear and other market participants will require a concerted effort by all stakeholders to finalize all outstanding items as soon as practical. So, we got Euroclear going live 2024, beginning of 2024. We have Mika going live December 2024. We had Digital Tenge being implemented, end of the year 2025. We got Basel for Asia, coming live in China If I say coming alive, I mean the beginning of implementation, 2025 in January, I believe it was, January 30th. There was something else happening in the beginning of the year next year. Not just Jamie Dimon dumping his shares, not just, was it arts? There's the asset reference tokens and the EMTs in Europe coming in 2024 as well. And then in June 2024 in Canada, they are continuing with their second or third phase of implementation of switching from CDOR over to CORA, and that is switching from LIBOR to SOFR for those in the States that want a clear understanding. And what that means for anybody else listening around the world, LIBOR is a calculation mechanism for, I don't even know how to explain that. But then they have a switching to the new one, which is SOFR. And for us in Canada, it's called CORA. I want to say it's like it's a swap line, essentially. It's a new swap line, essentially, at a different interest rate at that point. So I hope you guys found value in this. There was a lot to cover in this one here, but I hope I broke it down enough for you guys here. Nothing but love. I'll see you on the next one.
We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.